Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Circle Debate Podcast Top 5 Picks of the Week. This is for week 30. I know you, it's the host, Devious One, Ivan C, here alongside with my brothers from another mothers. That is the one and only, the CK1 himself, and that is Chris Kennedy. That's right. And also we have the Carbonation Cabron, the Pain Maker, the Cabron Maker, the Walk with Elias, the spring onion bacon wrap eater. He's the chef of all chefs. That's Mr. Matthew Steamboat, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. This is like a little top 5, which we forgot to do. Obviously, we're back from our mini vacation, our Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. And let's go ahead and kick this off. Today's top 5, ladies and gentlemen, is our top 5 crying moments that made us cry. Doesn't matter. It could be something pro wrestling. Could be, anything, any other sport or anything else affiliated to it. So,
really? This is the crying emoji.
I keep pulling it back into the wrestling world unless it's explicitly mentioned. So my list right now is about to change, but I'll have it ready. I'll have it reevaluated by the time again comes around to me.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I didn't know this was a general thing. Wow.
Yeah,
my whole list is wrestling though. Just letting you know.
That's fine.
No worries. I got it. I just got to shift a little shift, and I got it reevaluated.
All right.
All right. Cool.
So I'll go and start it off. I'll start it myself, ladies and gentlemen. So my number 5 is the day that Owen Hart died. I was pretty sad.
Shit, yeah, bro.
I really cried on that. That was the first time I ever cried in pro wrestling. That's why I mentioned, Owen Hart, because prior to that, when I was a child, I didn't cry for the Hulk Hogan or the Warriors, none of that. If anything, I was more mad. I'm like, why are you hurting him? I wasn't, as a child. But, seeing Owen, that one really hurt because I was a big Owen fan. I loved his work, and I never, believe me, we don't want to know. I mean, I don't wish nobody upon death. But, man, that one was unexpected, and, yeah, it hurt. That one really hurt really bad.
Yeah, we were watching live, and I know they have the delay on the tape feed. So, obviously, nobody – I think in some feeds, some footage was seen, and obviously we all know it's been destroyed. But I definitely remember watching the event. I don't recall, seeing the footage of it as it happened, but I definitely remember watching that event live.
Oh, yeah. They turned the camera, right away because it was the time when they were interviewing. I believe they were playing the interview of Owen Hart. And he was already – and then that's when everything was happening, and they focused on JR and the King. That's when the King went up there and JR was by himself. Like, this is not an act. This is, this is real, ladies and gentlemen, Yeah, I remember that. I was just watching the pay-per-view. I was like, no. And then during the pay-per-view, bam. I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That was a dreadful one. So it was a sad moment, obviously. Number 4, I actually cried when Eddie Guerrero won the WWE Championship.
From Lesnar?
From Lesnar at No Way Out. I cried for that one because he that was something that I've been wanting him to win and to have that championship, and he finally did. He finally actually won it. He paid his dues, and that's when he became the Grand Slam champion. Finally getting that belt. He already former U.S., former Intercontinental, former tag team, and now just getting that belt was a historic moment. And him going on WrestleMania, and man, that comes to my number 3, which was seeing Benoit winning it and having Guerrero at the same time when they were both in the ring together crying. That's when I cried because it's like two of the underdogs that they were literally the underdogs, and they proved to the world that height doesn't matter or anything. Size does not matter at all. And these two gentlemen, even though I'm talking professionally about Benoit, but
right, obviously, we would put that disclaimer. We know.
Yes. So that was a crying moment because I was a big Benoit fan of his work, and he deserved that. He deserved to win that championship. We're better off to beat
Vince's boys per se. You know what I'm saying? Like Vince always kind of had that thing where if he didn't create you, he didn't push you.
Yeah,
and those were like those two, Booker T coming out of WCW, being pretty well known and already established characters in WCW. I was very impressed that they got what they deserved when they came over after the buyout.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Those were like two former WCW, ECW guys.
Yeah,
and
and already very well established in those promotions.
Yep, and even in Japan too, they were very established in New Japan as well. So that's
Pegasus Kid and
Tiger Mask. Tiger Mask, exactly. I loved it. I think that was a good crime moment for me. As a teenager, growing up seeing him. So my number two would be when Daniel Bryan won the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, and I was there. So I was drunk, crying, talking shit to me and my buddy Rob, talking shit to the little kid, like, who? John Cena, who? Oh, and then the dad was like looking at me, and I'm like, sorry, bro, I'm a Daniel Bryan fan, and I was going crazy, and so until that moment was taken away when Orton music hit, Hunter, giving him the pedigree, I'm like, you son of a bitch, you killed my 15 minutes of crying happiness. This shit. So I'm like, all right, you got me there, man, you got me there, and that's my number two. My number one.
All right.
My number one. Oh my God. My number one was when Daniel Bryan actually came back from out of retirement. WrestleMania. When he came back. That one, I think I cried for that one because when the announcement that he retired, I was sad about that. And then when he announced he come back, and to see him come back, he still got it. I mean, I was crying out of joy because, Daniel Bryan is one of my heroes. So, I mean, I was really happy that he actually came back, in-ring return. And I'm glad that he had he still has a great run. And well-deserved to be, former three-time world champion. But definitely, I was really happy for him to come back because he was another one of my peers that I look up to that also put it out there as well. The height doesn't matter, size does not matter, and your heart and soul is what matters, especially when it comes to the ring. And that's what I look up to a lot of Daniel Bryan. So my two honorable mentions, one will be the Dodgers winning the World Series. Yes, I'm a big Dodger fan. What? Come on, man. You know how long has it been?
I know.
The Dodgers?
I know. LA had a great year. I'm from LA, and I'm not a contrarian. It's fine. I love baseball. I'm just not in love with baseball right now.
And the Dodgers
needed two championships, and they got them in the same year. And I think that really lifted, as a city, really lifted the spirits after the bullshit we had to deal with. So
of course, that's both
I'm just talking shit on baseball right now.
And of course, the other one is the Lakers because
of course.
Why? Because it's for Kobe, man. This is
they deserve that shit, man. That fucking bro.
But I will have to add that one. That one, the one affected, I think, for us LA natives was the death of Kobe Bryant. Yeah, that really hurt everybody.
I'm not even like a major. I mean, basketball is probably not in my top 5 watchable sports, but I felt that one. Like, I understand his effect on the planet and the positivity and the generations that he's helped, so I absolutely, as just a human, understand how much that one really hurt.
Oh yeah, that one did definitely. It did definitely. Mr. Steamboat, the floor is yours.
All right. So I think I might just change 2 of my honorable mentions, though, just because of recent activities. So yeah. So number 5. I'll do some singing for you. So number 5 was, that remember those video segments on the WWF video segments, the My Sacrifice and the tribute stuff, like those things.
Yeah.
There was one like for WWF history, and it was used for this Kid Rock song, "Lonely Road of Faith," and it was the song that it hurts to see you crying. Ooh, oh no, and it's like. And it's the whole, it's like a whole segment showing the whole history of like the WWF, like, down that lonely road of faith. And it's just like, it shows like the humble beginnings and just those old wrestlers and, the old days. So, woo! Yeah, we got to have the lighters on for that. Down that road.
Stop smoking weed. I don't got a lighter nearby.
Yeah. That's what everybody does nowadays, the phone lights.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that segment?
Roughly. I know the song.
Yeah, I know the song. Yeah.
And then they even had like a segment when the song gets into the rap part, is when they switch over to the Attitude Era. And they even include so what happened was when the NWO came in, they actually like had the NWO to invade that segment, oh no. Like we're gonna destroy the history that we hold so precious and blah blah blah. Right. But yeah, it was a really touching segment, so I love that. And speaking of video segments, number 4 is the My Sacrifice for Stone Cold Steve Austin, Creed's My Sacrifice. When you are with me, I'm free, I'm careless, I believe. These are like songs for singing. And it shows like Stone Cold bleeding and, going through like his whole career. And, it's like, and he says if you asked if I could give back any of my sacrifices, I wouldn't give back any of them because I loved every one of them. And I kind of that was right here in my chest. I'm careless, but just something with montages with music. Is just that gets you right in the heart, Now I'll go to number 3 right now. Number 3 is Cody hugging Tony Schiavone on the first episode of AEW Dynamite. I could kind of see that Tony Schiavone, ever since Dusty Rhodes died, I could kind of see that Tony Schiavone might be like a surrogate father or like an uncle to Cody. So that hug wasn't planned. That's kind of like a hug that I gave one of my uncles when he wasn't expecting a hug from me. He kind of gives Tony just gave a surprise. Oh, okay. And then that hug, and then Cody's just goes on in with that hug, and it's just we made it. We escaped WWE. We're in our own place. This is WCW's back. Our home is back. It's like buying a new house with your stepfather is kind of what that was going on. Buying a new house with my uncle, and I could already feel some people. I felt like not enough people paid attention to that little moment because they went into that angle with Jericho attacking Cody right after that. But I know that was for real because Schiavone's a WCW guy and Cody's a WCW guy, and that actually brings me to my number 2. That's directly because I was talking about it feels like a continuation of WCW from the last episode of WCW. So here's my number 2.
Mm-hmm. The last Nitro.
Nice.
The last episode of Nitro. And just that Ric Flair stumbling down, feeling weak after the match and then going in to hug Sting because we started it, now we're ending it together, and it really felt like this is the last time you're going to see either of them ever again. I would have been happy if this was, Ric Flair's last match ever, because it would have been because it was a really touching ending. This also got me right here, just like Sting helping Ric Flair up was I know we're old together now, and this is the last day for us. So
yeah,
that was a big deal.
If it wasn't for that Shawn Michaels Ric Flair match, I would agree with you because damn. If we'd never seen that match, yes, for sure. But since that match happened,
because they made the "I'm sorry, I love you" part of it,
Yeah.
And they were kind of
who knew, like, straight up, in my opinion, Ric Flair's. I'm gonna say I think Ric Flair's best match of all time came when he was 98 years old.
He's not 98.
Holy shit, man! He really packed the heat in that one. So yeah.
With that match is like, and the funny thing is, Ric Flair wrestled like was it like 2 or 3 years longer in TNA? So that
yeah, for sure. That yeah.
So if that was the last one, but so now it's gonna bring me to my number one, touching moment of all time. I'll just let this speak for itself.
Oh come on, where'd my fucking button go?
Oh, here we go. This is Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi reuniting for the first time since the last time they broke up.
So in the Golden Lovers, in the Omega Man documentary about Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, they really, it's they had people representing like the LGBTQ community, like talking about like how important queer stories are, and like and a storyline like this was like one of like the most serious, like it
wasn't a comic book like Billy and Chuck.
Yeah, it wasn't a comic book like Billy and Chuck. It was like a serious, like, even the build up to it where like Kenny's looking at Kota like, all right, it's time to distract Kota Ibushi by going up to the apron, but Kenny felt like guilty immediately after that. And then just all their like missed moments and their build up and their history and their matches together. Somebody even compared their relationship to the movie Phantom Thread with Daniel Day-Lewis. Like they said, it's kind of like it has their fights and their breakup and their get back together, and all the confetti coming down was almost like the rose petals.
Yeah.
The Golden Lovers storyline, I guess, is probably something that even brought me back into it, and it's like, this makes perfect sense to me. I get this. I really identify with both of these guys. It reminds me of like my relationship with like Japanese rock music and being in the United States and having a friend in Japan and like, be like wanting to break into that other world. And
am I your Kenny Omega to your Kota?
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Soon. We're lucky. So, okay, my two honorable mentions. My two honorable mentions will be number 2 is Undertaker and Jeff Hardy. With the ladder match, I was like, you haven't broken me yet, Takers. I think that moment was probably, the underdog moment when you're like fighting from underneath and an Undertaker raising his hand up, and I really like was wishing for that rematch to happen and Jeff to get that title, and like the whole and the commentary really sells it. You could do it, kid. Make yourself immortal. Grab that title. You could do it. Like,
I love it. That was good shit. That was good shit right there.
number 1 out of my honorable mentions. I guess like you said, it's open to like a lot of different things because you're talking about like sports and all this other stuff. So I don't know if it's like music's included in this.
Of course.
Everything. Now, as of 20 minutes ago, everything's included.
Yeah, as of 20. I'll say number 1 is the passing of Eddie Van Halen.
Oh.
I feel you there.
Eddie Van Halen. And maybe, I'll since I'll break some rules for the tiers I'll add in, I'll give it tied with 3 other things: the passing of Roger Moore and the passing of Sean Connery, because I'm a big Bond fan. So like those guys are all like, those guys were like stables for me. That was like home for me. So like Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Eddie Van Halen, they're all meeting up right now, having a scotch on the rocks up there.
Yeah.
While Eddie Guerrero is pouring them a tequila for seconds. So to all of you guys, to all the fallen brothers, that's for all of them, for Eddie, for Roger, and it was crazy. Sean I wasn't expecting the Sean Connery, because it felt like he was just going to keep going on like Dick Van Dyke, You know, because if whenever we talk about celebrities who pass away, we don't talk about enough about the celebrities that are still with us. You know, I kind of do it as a joke. I leave a status like, by the way, Dick Van Dyke is still alive. Like I put that status up like every month just as a joke. Like, by the way, everybody, Dick Van Dyke's still alive. And I think he's gonna be. I think he might be one of our first centenarian, like centennial. When you hit 100 years old, you're called a centenarian. I think
that sounds like a word.
Yeah, sounds like a word. Centenarian. He'll be like one of like the biggest, most famous people to become a centenarian, to make it to 100 years old. So you know, I want to leave on a hopeful note about that, just because just because we lose people doesn't mean there could be people that could be with us for a really long time. Right. You know, Dick Van Dyke is 94 years old as of today. Wow. And I hope we have plenty more years with him. All right.
You never know. CK1, the floor is yours.
All right. So I had to give myself some rules to this list. The rule basically was I could not list major tragedies, otherwise putting them in order seemed disrespectful, and leaving things out of the order also would seem disrespectful. So I left out, obviously, major tragedies. This is going to be more lighthearted and fun, I guess you could say. Or, as fun could be without, the worst possible things happening to these people. But my number 5 would have been the Edge retirement speech. We talked about that a few podcasts ago. That was pretty hard. No one was expecting it, and it came out of nowhere, and the crowd visibly was upset by it, as was I. Number 4, same thing, the Daniel Bryan retirement speech. I'm sure Ivan felt that one too. That one sucked because he was just hitting his peak, much like Edge was. Daniel Bryan just finally popped. Vince put all his faith in him, and he was just, gone, for obvious safe reasons. I'm glad he figured out what he figured out. And as we know, came back stronger than ever, got the title back. I love the Eco Champion.
Oh my God.
Greatest gimmick of all time. I hate that it lasted only like 2 weeks.
And he went back to the face, right? Look, I haven't got up with the
he went back to face, he went back to face like in one match. Like he came out and like shook hands with like I think Kevin Owens. I forget what it was, but yeah, it was like, why did he just turn face all of a sudden with no resolution to that character?
There's the belt.
Nice, yeah.
The wood belt.
Who is it? You or Mike that's making that belt? Or going to try to make that belt?
Mike is going to try to make that belt.
Yeah. It's going to take like 4,000 paper straws, but I think he can do it.
Yeah, you can do it.
Number 3 just happened last year at the Royal Rumble, was Edge returning. Didn't see it coming. I'm sure plenty of people did, but I did not. And I heard you think you know me, and I flipped the fuck out. I was like, I think I know you. Holy shit, he's back. I had no idea he was even on the radar for a return. I may have ignored some dirt sheets about that, but I was pleasantly surprised. I think they cut to a guy in the on the rampway at the corner by the ring. I think when he walked out and some dude, they panned on him and a grown-ass man was also crying. I felt that, bro.
Yep.
Number 2 is my very first memory of me crying during a pro wrestling event. It was the Hogan Earthquake feud from the early 90s. It was when Earthquake was beating the shit out of Hogan. I forget the name of Earthquake's finisher, but he sat on him on his chest and he crushed his chest. And Hogan was crying and they carried him out on a stretcher. I was like 5 years old. I was crying. That was the day my mom had to tell me that it wasn't real, which is fair. I'm like, all right. Okay, still, this sucks. It's sad. If I was like, no, don't kill Hogan. Definitely a very early pro wrestling memory. Number 1 on my list is a great moment, and it's only particular. It's only particular to me. I don't remember the event. I'm pretty sure it was a Raw because I've only been to like a Rumble, a Raw, and a bunch of house shows. Was seeing Jericho live for the first time as the Y2J character with the full countdown, the full Glimmer t-shirts. He was my favorite, is my favorite wrestler. And then seeing that live and seeing that full setup was spectacular. I was like, it overwhelmingly hit me. I was like 14 years old. I was like, oh my God, the countdown.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh shit, something's hitting. Like I was like just an ocean of feelings.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I was just like blown away because that was the first time I'd ever seen them live, and I got that full countdown. I got 2 honorable mentions. I want to add a third honorable mention.
Go for it.
My executive privilege here. My first honorable mention is not so much the Paige retirement speech, but the footage of Sasha Banks hitting. I think it was a backstab.
Oh.
I think it was a backstabber, or it was a drop kick to her back in the corner.
Back drop kick.
Yeah. So I had to watch. I watched that, and I was just like, in my head, I might have been stoned out of my mind or something, but the thoughts in my head were watching the moment her career ended. I'm like, and I was going through all the shit she was going through. I was like, that right there, that little accident, nobody's fault. A move everybody's delivered safely. And it was like, that's the moment where Paige was coming back. She was coming back. She was about to run that division again, and that just just took her out.
Yep.
I hope, I don't know what's on the radar for her future. I hope somehow doctors somehow figure something out and get her back in that ring, because she is a lot more talented than the world knows.
As of right now, she's healthy. She's been sober for quite a while. She's been already had different type of surgeries in reference for that. So obviously her discussions, like how with the Daniel Bryan situation, Edge situation, never say never. You might see her.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's just, I hope she comes back, much like who's next on my list, the Daniel Bryan return. Didn't see that coming. I didn't know if it was a work or a shoot. And then he started laying the waste, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And I was like, oh shit, he's back. This is great to see, because he deserved to be back. He worked so hard to come back. And then my third honorable mention is an MMA related one. And I remember everything about this particular night. It was the night that Ronda Rousey beat Kat Zingano in 14 seconds. I was at, where was I? I was at Buffalo Wild Wings in Cerritos. And Ronda is a local girl. You know, she's from LA. So that entire room was on her side. It was maybe 200 people on their feet before the fight started. It ends quicker than Bruce Buffer announcing their names. You know, it's a flying knee, it's a judo toss, it's an armbar. It is over as long as this sentence lasted. And people were jumping up on the bar. People were jumping up on tables. Some girl jumped off the bar, and I caught her like a stage dive.
Wow.
And we were all just flipping the fuck out that it happened, because I was nervous. I think with every one of Ronda's fights, I always thought that if anyone could beat her, it was going to be whoever she was fighting at that time. Same with Kat. I was like, well, if anyone can do it, I won't be surprised if Kat does it. And Ronda got out of there with a flawless victory. And everybody was just going apeshit. And I remember that moment. And we were all pretty much in happy tears. And one of my favorite MMA moments, especially sharing that with so many people in that environment, for sure, especially like in her backyard. So
I agree. I remember like how the hype was for that fight. And yeah, I was in my neighbor's house, actually. We ordered the fight and we did a barbecue, everything. So I do remember that. I was like, what? Could this be Kat's time? I mean, shit. Yeah. I mean, that's what I thought. I'm like, uh-oh.
She just mauled the shit out of Misha Tate. She had beaten Kat Zingano.
Mm-hmm.
She had come back from the double knee surgery. Yeah. Pretty sure that was good. I think the knee surgery came before the Ronda. Yeah, because Tate got the title fight because Kat was out there.
Yeah.
There's no experience like sharing an MMA victory with a group of people. Like, I love watching fights by myself and just doing my own thing, but if you can go to an event, which we know isn't going to happen anytime soon, that's the best way to do it. But if you can do it at a bar, which also may not happen anytime soon, do that. Yeah, that shared experience is magic for sure.
Definitely. I agree 100%. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I know this was last minute thing, so we forgot about our top 5, so we just did it now. We're on a little mini vacation from our Thanksgiving, week. Once again, we appreciate everyone for tuning in and subscribing. Continue to spread the word and love. And also don't forget shout outs to our brothers from Another Mother's League of Podcasts. That will be Dirty HEELZ. They give people what they want, as well as Frank and Kyle from JOFO in the Ring.
JOFO in the Ring.
That's right.
JOFO in the
Ring. Just our fucking opinion in the Ring podcast.
The League of Podcasts, is that something we decided?
Yes, we decided that.
So, bonsoir, bonjour, au revoir to Quebec and Montreal.
There you go. And also shout out to our UK native James, that 90s wrestling podcast. Also shout out to Jonah from Manhattan, New York. Rewind, recap, relive.
The business. The boy in dress.
Mm-hmm.
That is right.
Like James Bond.
He is full of drip. That is a fact.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also a shout out to Backstage Brawl Podcast. They've been already showing love support. We appreciate you guys. Also Titatron podcast as well. Most love and support. Open Talk Radio 313 up in Michigan, which we will collaborate pretty soon. And so also don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, this Friday, December the 4th, make sure you guys tune in on Title Match Network for the Generation Championship of Wrestling. That's the Diamond Cup that is coming up this Friday, December 4th. Our brother Jeremy Gomez, the owner of the GCW Generation Championship Wrestling. Make sure we'll put the subscription down below where the link.
I'm excited for that. That is such a stacked tournament with every female in that tournament is the future of their respective divisions.
Oh, definitely. You got the really in-ring return of Shaw Guerrero. She goes one-on-one versus Renee Michelle. Sky Blue is also in that. Yeah. We got High End in the house as well. We got Deanna Peraza competing in that tournament as well. We've got Queen Amanada on there as well, and so much more. Make sure you guys tune in of that. And also, you're going to have the GCW Tag Team Champions, Metro City Boys, brothers. They're going to be defending their tag titles as well, so make sure you guys tune in with that. And we'll be back next Friday as well. We'll be back, episode 31, as everything is going back to normal. We have a lot of much more announcements coming soon, as right now we're still taking a little break, but we'll be back. Don't forget, this Friday for episode 31. Make sure you tune in. Don't forget to subscribe to our social media platforms on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram at Circle Debate. Make sure and also follow our brothers here as well as their respective individual social media platforms as well. You got obviously at Chris Kennedy's Guitar. Make sure you follow him. And also you've got Mr. MGC, which I'll put that on the bottom description below as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in. And don't forget, next week for our top 5, week 31, we're doing our top 5 best botches. So we're going to do that one.
Okay, let's clarify. The best, they could have been bad, but they were saved, or just the worst of the worst?
The worst of the worst.
Now, hey, we got to bring back the horn instead of drum. We have to do it.
Yeah. I already have my list. Let's do it now.
Anytime we do the worst ones, we got to switch to.
Yeah, for sure.
These are going to be the top 5 worst botches that were on live television. Just really, man.
Yeah, I got it. Fantastic.
I cannot wait either because there's a lot of them that are hilarious, and I'm like,
yeah.
I cannot wait. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Devious One, Ivan C, alongside with the CK1, representing the 4 minutes of heat, baby, with the glasses. That's right. That's Chris Kennedy, and also Le Champion,
harmonica.
Well, I forgot. It's Walk with Matthew Steamboat. Because, last episode, he was rhyming all day. And I'm like, there you go.
I couldn't help it.
Couldn't help it. So, saying to you guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next Friday.